Before we get into the video, I thought I'd just mention that we actually made it past the halfway point for our GoFundMe. We still have a long way to go, so if you can, head to the link in the description to either donate yourself, nothing is too small, or to share it with other people. Bills are looming and we're still actively trying to get out of here. Thanks everyone, and thanks for getting me to 500 subs. Now anyway, on with the video. Hey stars, Tiv here. So the other day, I decided to explore Flashpoint, a community-run project to preserve games and animations from the web. Whether it be Flash games, Shockwave Player, or what have you. And I decided to see if there was one specific game available that I would play almost religiously as a kid. Transformers Battle Circuit, which is a simple Flash game where you choose one of 8 Transformers to play as to fight the others in a tournament ladder of beam battles that you control by pressing the left and right arrow keys. Kind of like the beam struggle QTEs from the Budokai games expanded into a web game. And all of these battles eventually accumulate in facing the final boss. Optimus Prime if you chose the Decepticon, and Megatron if you chose an Autobot. Side note, both of these bosses are hilariously mistransformed on their versus screens. As I was enjoying this nostalgia, I ended up reminiscing on it to a friend on Discord, sending them some screen caps here and there, and then I ended up saying to them, you know, the devil in the back of my head right now is like, you know, most of what you need to mod this Flash game would be a Flash decompiler, a recompiler, and some cleaned up toy photos. And though I tried to follow it up by saying that I should tell myself no, that the project would balloon way out of proportions from my original intent, they responded with a simple GIF. And so just like that, like Anakin on the CIS capital ship in episode 3, I was compelled to get to work. So I went and grabbed the SFW file and put it in a new separate folder. That would end up being a slight mistake, but more on that later. And then I used an SFW Ripper program to extract all of the game's assets to use for reference, and after that, just to test to make sure I could actually make this mod effectively and still have it run as a proper game, I opened up the game file in JPEXS, a separate Flash decompiler, and used that to change some text and insert some pictures of myself in place of Rodimus. And then I saved the SFW file, and proceeded to run the game. And hey, you know what? It worked, but there was a teeny bit of a problem. All the text was gone. So after rifling through the file's contents for around 30 minutes, I ended up realizing it was because the game was missing the XML file that it used to grab most of its text. So after a few tweaks later, there we go. With that working, I now knew I could honestly do this. And so first, using some art and game design assets I'd purchased on a whim like 2 years ago, I kept the decompiler open and started to redesign the GUI first, and the overall stage background and presentation of it all. Since the original was heavily based on the early Transformers Classics toy line packaging designs, I wanted to give this mod of it the sort of Transformers legacy energy. And that took me all about 4-ish hours before I moved on to the harder part. Taking photos of the 10 Transformers in my collection that I'd be using to replace the roster with. This process, with some background moving assistance, took about 2 hours to do. And after a few pitfalls, we now have... Transformers Legacy Battle Circuit. It's still basically the same game, but with new characters, and not everyone quite lines up with where they're shooting the beam from, but I mean, lasers work weird like that sometimes in the cartoon anyway. And an overall fresh coat of Transformers Legacy themed paint. I put a download link down in the description if you want to check out the mod yourself. I hope you do, and hey, tell me how it goes in the comments. I hope you all enjoy this game. Tiv out.